On today's EMBN show, some mighty fine new-looking eMTBs from across the Atlantic.
Yeah, and we've been taking a look at a new budget 9-speed drivetrain.
Now, Santa Cruz have come out with an all-new Heckler, 150mm rear, 160mm up front, and comes in two options. You can either get it as a 27.5 mix or as a 29 front and rear option. Now, this was a bike which was launched 2 years ago in Italy and as seen in use by Danny McCaskill many times. I think he's been quite obsessed with the bike. Lots of very cool features on this bike. So, like I said, you can either have it as 29 or 27.5. The difference being that you get an all-new rear end on the bike. You get a new swinging arm, which makes it 29 compatible or 27.5 compatible. Now, the big news is it's got a new 720 watt-hour battery, which is easily removable with a 4mm Allen key. Shimano EP8 motor, and is available in sizes medium up to XXL. So that means a load of different sizes there for a wide range of people. Now, as I mentioned, I had a quick spin on this bike and I think it's a really fine bike. It's really lively, it's got a good poise to it. And that's partly due to some great geometry numbers. Now, off the top of my head, now this is going to be in size large for the MX, the 29-27.5 is called the Santa Cruz Heckler MX. 475mm reach in a size large, 445mm chainstay, which means it's a good balance for climbing and descending, 64.8 degree head tube angle, so really balanced when it comes to the long, fast descents, 77 seat tube angle, and what am I missing, Chris? Bottom bracket height.
Bottom bracket height. I was going to say, you're reeling them off there.
Now, the bottom bracket height, actually, that's another cool feature about this bike, Chris, is you can actually, there's a flip chip on it. Nice. So you've got it in high setting, which actually isn't too high. So I think it's 346mm in the high setting or 342mm in the low setting. And what a mighty... Look, doesn't it just look amazing?
Gorgeous looking bike. Yeah, as you say, I think the poise of it and the way it just sits there, it just looks dialed, doesn't it? And you say great geometry on there. And a guy that I think I've seen riding one of these, obviously to the max, is Danny McCaskill. And I can't wait to see what he does on this new machine.
Well, it just happens we did have a spin with him a few weeks ago up in northwest Scotland, but that's coming out on the channel on Sunday. Now, the Heckler, as I mentioned, 150, 160, it does have a stablemate, the Bullet, which is long travel. Comes with a 36mm fork, and there's many specs. Now, the Santa Cruz bikes come in two different types of carbon. You've got the C or the CC. I think the bikes start at around £6,500 here in the UK. But as you'll see, the component specification is pretty high end for a lot of those bikes. So great to see Santa Cruz with a new bike. And yeah, don't forget to tune into the channel on Sunday. Chris, tell us about this drivetrain.
Well, Muc-Off have launched a new drivetrain tool, which is actually going to put an end to that conundrum of having a bike in on the floor and being able to put chain lube on or clean your chain. You know, it's a complete hassle, isn't it, with that front freewheel design coming from the motor. But this cool little tool is a magnet, basically. So you've got a little bit that inserts into your crank, be it a T25, 5mm or a 6mm Allen key, wedges in there, lock the crank on there, and you can just pedal and wind that motor back and lube and clean your chain. Yeah, you know, as much as you like.
I think lubing your e-bike is probably one of the most important things to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think since, you know, swapping over to e-bikes, I do miss that ease of just being able to cycle a chain back, put a bit of lube on there, off you go, you know, rather than hooking it up into a work stand. So nice little bit of tool. Looks pretty pimp, little lanyard and bits and pieces on there. So yeah,
I think the pink suits you well, Chris, as well. I think one important thing to mention is the fact that, you know, you can't turn e-bikes upside down because of the displays. You will damage them quite easily. Very key piece of kit.
And good price too. You know, you're talking about display, super expensive to replace. This little tool is coming in at $19.99, so not a lot of money to save you up display and scratching up your levers and your seat. So good work.
Chris, 9-speed drivetrain from brake experts Tektro.
Yeah, so Tektro have just got in with their ED9 drivetrain system. So this is compromising of the derailleur, shifter, cassette and chain. At the minute, it's only OE spec on Conway bikes. on one of their hardtails and their full suspension bikes. But hopefully we're going to be seeing that stuff switching across to like general, you know, you can buy it on the market. But
well, this is a video you did, you know, last year. You know, do you actually need 12-speed derailleurs and cassettes?
I don't think we do.
It depends on the type of riding you do, right?
Definitely. And I think nice little touches on this. You've actually got the last 3 cogs on the cassette are actually replaceable. I mean, you don't have to buy that entire cassette. So if you just wore 1 cog out, you could just go and shop and buy that. Nice slim style shifter in there. Clutch on the derailleur. Ticks all the budget. Bit of a ticks all the boxes, aimed at more of a budget kind of setup, but could be, you know, worth looking at if you're into mincing your drivetrain all winter.
Yeah.
And replacing it for not a lot of cost.
Yeah, and also Tektro makes some pretty good brakes as well, don't
Definitely,
they?
Yeah,
really
yeah.
powerful. I managed to ride some of them back in California in the end of last year, and good bit of stopping power. Now, more news from our partner brand Husqvarna. They've brought out the new Legacy edition to their motocross bikes. Chris, I think this is a sort of a blend of like old school motocross meets, you know, up to date e-mounted bike in terms of the visuals, the graphics on the bike.
Exactly. I think that's what they've gone for. It's pretty much the same bike underneath, isn't it? But that new paint job is looking pretty cool. I think the mountain cross and the hard cross, just those slightly understated graphics, not so in your face. A nice mix of those, you know, old school versus new school.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I have to say, some fantastic geometry on the mountain cross bikes. Absolutely charging. In another news, you've got Miranda have just launched a load of new sprockets. If you've got that Bosch Generation 2 motor with a smaller chainring in there, you can actually get front drive sprockets from 14 tooth all the way up to a monster 22 tooth for that. So it's going to make a big difference, isn't it, Steve, for climbing and obviously top speed. Quite interesting actually. We were with Stefan Schlee on the island of La Palma last week, and he uses the Miranda cranks. So I think crank length is definitely some unexplored territory depending on the type of riding you do.
Definitely.
But yeah, definitely a great upgrade there from Bosch and Miranda.
And on Instagram as well, I've seen Guido Chug has been busy on his Husqvarna too, doing a bit of snow clearing action. He's got a snow plough mounted to the front of his Husqvarna and clearing that snow pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of snow.
Coming up for you lucky viewers, we've got a great week of
Lucky viewers?
Yeah. It's all right now or not?
Depends what you watch.
Coming up this week on EMBN, we have a great week of content as always, and kicking things off on Friday, we're going to be taking a look at all the things that you actually need for your e-mountain bike, not those wants.
Yes, there's quite a lot of them. And then on Sunday, I recently took a visit up to the northwest of Scotland with the trials legend himself, Danny McCaskill, to see the type of territory that he rides on his Santa Cruz Heckler. And it was wild, it was wet.
Very wet, I saw.
Pretty amazing to watch. So that's out on Sunday, folks. Okay, folks, now Chris put out an interesting video on a electric moto. Do you call them motos?
Moto, e-moto, yeah.
E-moto on the weekend. Quite a few comments, both positive and negative. This is from Andrew Vicker, sorry. An irrelevant video, as eMTBs are based on mountain bikes and Surons are based on motorbikes, so completely different markets. Chris, talk us through the video. I mean, I've ridden a Suron out in Moab, and what I thought was that actually I found them quite heavy, and compared to an eMTB, they were like quite difficult to ride. And then compare, you know, I come from a motorcycle background, and I'd probably go for a motorcycle myself. Now, I haven't ridden it in the places you did. You rode it in the mud. So what was the kind of
super gloopy mud? Yeah, horrible, really slippy stuff. Pretty much a cameraman couldn't even stand up. It was that horrible a day. And exactly the same as you, coming from a motorbike background and a mountain bike background. You know, both of us ridden trials and motocross, all that stuff. It didn't tick any of the boxes, like for me, towards a motorbike, and it didn't tick anything towards a mountain. You know, it was just like lost in the middle. It didn't know it's a confused piece of machinery in my eyes.
What about, I mean, what place do they have then, those bikes?
If you had a road legal one, I could see it as a fast kind of moped, pretty much, to go to the shops. Or if you had private land, yeah, a load of fun. But unfortunately in the UK, you can't ride them anywhere aside from private land, which public have no access to. But I mean, if you had your own woodland or you lived in a different country, then yeah, I could see they could be amazing fun out in the woods.
I mean, you know, KTM have electric motors and stuff like that. You've seen some trials manufacturers have got electric trials bikes. Yeah. Would you probably go for one of them rather than something like that?
I think it's pretty much, to me, the Suron just felt like an expensive kid's toy. It's really small, it just didn't
It is
work.
small. I mean, the size. That's the first thing I noticed. Actually, was it was quite compact. If you're a big person, it's quite difficult. But I feel like we're giving this a bit of a hide in here, but we don't want to. I think it's just getting the information
It's
out
more
there.
educational about where and what they are rather than versus.
So, Vokes Quadman says, these are the future of motorized bikes. I'm sick of breaking derailleurs. Let's face it, they belong to the last century. I think Vox Quad, you're absolutely right, which is why actually we've got a video coming soon on how to convert your e-mountain bike into one with a gearbox on it. And last talk, who says, let's be honest, this was a fixed comparison. I don't think it was, but nevertheless, the reason we're not all running Surons is the legality. If I was caught on that, I'd lose my car and motorcycle license, which is true. I mean, absolutely right.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people flouting the law on these bikes, isn't there? And at the end of the day, it's exactly the same as driving an unlicensed, untaxed car on the road. Would you do that?
You say that. I mean, there's probably people out there who are flouting the law on e-mountain bikes as well, by de-restrict them. So I don't think we can categorise...
Sticky ground.
I think we can say that all Suron riders do that. No. But it's a tricky subject, folks. Don't want to get stuck into it too much, but...
Maybe we should revisit it with your trial skills, Steve. Let's see it.
Or the lack of skills which you've got, as one person commented. Now this is a particularly good climb of the week, described as not bad for a 47-year-old with Parkinson's disease. Now this is Barry up in Ballachulish in Scotland. Now Ballachulish has got a bridge actually which crosses, I can't remember what river, maybe the Ballachulish. I don't know. But actually Barry, my mate, actually got into a lot of bother once on a stag do jumping off Ballachulish, and he got caught up on a scaffold pole in the river. Yeah, not very pleasant. But what a climb, what a location. I think we need to spend some more time up in
it does look
that part
a
of the
hell
world.
of a location.
Yeah.
But check this out, we've got a great bodge of the week too coming in from Mark. He's on his Scott bike. He says, a quick bodge to get my mate home after his Scott bike snapped. So he's got a broken chainstay here, and he's bodged it with a, looks like some sort of cane, is it, or something like that. Zip tied to it with some pretty industrial zip ties. But put it along the bottom of the chainstay and got him home.
I mean, this good bit of tech. I mean, you can do that with a piece of oak, a piece of ash, a piece of beech.
I thought you'd like this. It looks like a snooker
or a
cue,
piece of driftwood, or a snooker cue. I don't know if people are going to be finding snooker cues in the middle of nowhere, Chris. But yeah.
Thanks
good
a lot
work,
for
folks.
sending those in, and use that upload service if you've got anything you want featured here on EMBN, and that's up on screen.
Okay, folks, some out and about inspiration from you guys this week. First up is Tyson in Las Vegas and Henderson, Nevada, followed by Gus on Heartbreak Ridge, Ballater in Scotland. God, there's some really nice looking mountains in the background there. And then moving on to Chris in Ullswater. Nice bit of rock there. Looks like it's taken quite recently.
And check out Duncan here. He's got a Kona Remote 160 out in Holmfirth. Big cold ride out for the first day of the new year. Look at that.
Yeah, and I really like this last shot, Chris, which is Stirling, which is the location
in Iceland.
Alftanes. Wow.
My first ride on a full suspension bike that my wife gave me for Christmas. You lucky man.
Yeah, and closing things down is Jarmo out in Finland on the Ducati TK01RR.
That looks super cold there. Whoa, is that a frozen lake? Right, it is Bike Vault time to see whether you're going to get a nice or a super nice for your pride and joy. What we got first, Steve?
First up is Robert and Specialist Levo Comp Carbon in Devston Peak District. I think it's a nice shot. It's an even nicer location. This next one, I think those are nice. Next up, I think, is Stirling Cube Stereo Hybrid 140 SL. 2022 model. Now, I really enjoyed actually riding the Cube Stereo 140 up in Scotland last year. And I think that's a super nice shot.
The sky looks amazing, doesn't it? We've got Alana here with a 2020 Norco Sight VLT A1 out in BC, Canada, just out for a rip. Yeah, that pylon looks like it's almost upside down in the back of that shot. That's a nice shot for me, I think.
I'd say what's cool about Norco is that they've got a setup guide on their bikes. If you go online, it'll tell you, you put in your rider weight and all that, and it'll tell you exactly what your settings should be on the bike. It's a really cool feature, I think.
It's nice, isn't it? And that monster 900 watt-hour battery, of course,
yeah.
Some of those.
And then Gerard on a Spectral on Canyon Spectral in Santa Monica Mountains, California. Come on, Gerard. You could just add a stick and move that away from that seat. It would have been a super nice. It's a nice, for sure.
A nice spooky shot here from Mark. Cannondale Habit Neo 3 out in Holland. Loads of upgrades on this. What do you think of that shot? Bit of rear mudguard action going on.
I really like it actually. I think it's
good. Nice stealth kind of setup. Super nice.
Yes. And then Michael, turbo lever out in Mosier, Oregon. Nice shot. And another nice shot from Michelangelo, Rocky Man and Instinct.
Nice.
Nice bike.
And Melbourne,
nice
Australia. So
bike.
What are you thinking for that?
It's a nice.
Nice. Okay, we've got Andrew here. He's got a white E160 out in Keswick in Grisdale Pike, and then back down to Whinlatter Forest.
Yeah, there's only one way that's going. That's a fantastic shot. That is
super nice.
It's got it all. The bike is showcased there.
Low level.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Louis? Super nice, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super nice. You didn't see all the tabs. You didn't see the tabs.
That's it for this week's Bike Vault. Some great entries in there. Get them to us using the upload service. Love seeing all your bikes here. And also let us know what you think about that new Santa Cruz as well. Get involved in the comments box down below.
See you next week.
Yeah, cheers for watching.